This voice is killing me.
What is?
My voice is going.
Oh, yeah.
How is it called in English? My voice is?
Yeah, your voice is gone. Yeah, going, gone.
I mean, it's not gone. It's still there, but only
Your voice
reduced.
Yeah.
But
That's
there's no
exactly what
special name. It's the wording is my voice gone.
My throat is hoarse, is what they'll say.
Yes, throat is hoarse. Yes, yes. Remembering.
But
last time
people
was
just say my voice.
last
more
time
common.
was before 3 years, and I wondered how is it translated in English, and correct. I'm remembering.
Okay, yeah, they got your slides up. About another minute. Hello, everyone. It is 18:30, so we're just about ready to get started. Sal 1. Just a reminder to everybody to silence or turn off your cell phones. If any of you have questions during the talk, we have the microphones. Just queue up at the microphones and speak and ask your questions into the microphone so that they can be recorded. We have Manuel Attag here giving a presentation entitled Security in the Cardholder Data Processing. He does security audits for credit card processing companies, and he is going to, I'll turn it over to him so he can tell you all about it.
Thank you. So again, hello, my name is Manuel Attag. My voice is gone, so sorry if this sounds a little bit nasty. I'm going to speak about security in the cardholder data processing. I'm, as he said, an auditor for the cardholder data environment. So I'm auditing for this PCI Security Standards Council, formerly MasterCard and Visa, but that I will introduce that now. So the agenda is only 3 topics. First of all, the company I'm working for, SRC and PCI, so a little bit understanding what we are doing, how much we are doing, so you get a clue about the statistical factors, how many audits we did and all that stuff. The motivation of PCI and what is PCI? PCI stands for the Payment Card Industry. That's the short for Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. That's the standard I'm auditing for, but if you see PCI, I mean the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. After this motivation and what it is to introduce the standard, I'm going into the experiences and the lessons learned when we conducted security scans and security audits within the standard. And there were some very interesting experiences. I will come to that later. So PCI, or before PCI, SRC was the first company worldwide which was accredited in the MasterCard and STP, MasterCard, STP and Visa IS programs. That's the both programs which have been introduced by the payment schemes. Later it was changed into the payment card industry. And we have cooperations with different acquirers. You can see them. Some of them are really international. One is even in Israel located. We have more than 3,000 merchants which we provide the office, the service for, and round about 35 service providers in various countries where we do these audits and security scans for. That was the first part. The second part, not every part is that small. The motivation of and what is PCI. I don't know if someone knows this guy. This guy said in 1911, he was a captain, said he had no problems in the last 40 years when he was at sea. And he said, 40 years without problems, and I know there will never happen something. 1 year later, The Titanic sunk, and the captain was Mr. Smith. So the thing what I want to tell you with this is, when you had no problems in the past, you have no clue what will happen in the future. The risk is therefore underestimated, not only for being compromised. In general, risk is underestimated, as people think so many years nothing happened, this is a point for nothing will happen in the future. So this is really a problem. I have some examples to give you an idea of what can happen if you don't implement such standards correctly or protect the information correct. This is one sample. Credit cards have been compromised at the University of California at Los Angeles. It's from December, maybe for this lecture. Approximately 800,000 individuals that their names and certain personal information, including credit card data, not of all 800,000 students and employees, but quite a few of them have been compromised. So this is not only a small thing, it's a big thing. 19,000 credit cards have been compromised at AT&T, for example, and they informed the fewer than 90,000 customers about this problem, but in fact there again were a lot of credit cards stolen. This is really interesting. 14,000 credit cards compromised at the Department of Defense. I was researching just for some samples, and when I saw this one, I really didn't know what to tell you about. I mean, everything is said. Again, one sample, interesting one. Guidance Software is a developer of the forensic software Ncase. It's exactly a forensic tool with which you will target such an incident. Interesting is that this company itself had a serious problem, and 3,800 credit cards have been compromised in their cardholder environment. The consequences from such an incident, I have a small sample only. We have seen the big numbers. Now I will show you a small merchant who is only transactioning and processing 250 to 300 transactions per month. And just a sample, he's storing this few transactions for the last 3 years. So we are talking about a potential compromise of 10,000 cards. If these 10,000 cards would be compromised completely, like a SQL injection and someone steals all the data out of it, the costs are dramatic. The thing is, incident fee, 50,000 euro, is acceptable. Issue a recovering fee. You have to reissue the stolen cards and fraudulent misused cards. It's again 50,000, but the main factor is the fraud. Fraud for these 10,000 cards will raise up to 20 million euro, because fraudulent used card is around about 2,000 euro. It's $2,000 to $3,000, depend on what is the value of the card. But in fact, this is a big thing. What I didn't calculate is the cost for the litigation, and even the reputation is not in this summary. But you can see this was only this small merchant, and the big things we have seen before, the samples, are much more bigger. So this is really a problem for card schemes and, of course, everyone who is involved in the cardholder data processing. The answer to these problems was released from MasterCard in 2002 and Visa in 2001. They had introduced 2 programs, the site data protection and the account information security programs. They are split into 4 things. 3 are the auditing parts, and 1 is the definition of some things like levels, deadlines, penalties. The incident fee, for example, 50,000 euro, is defined in these programs. And the self-assessment questionnaire, the security scan and security audit have been defined to be conducted from accredited companies who know how to check with this standard for the compliance and check in which level, for example, a merchant or service provider is classified and if the deadlines are correct and all that. Later they joined forces, so since September 2006, not only MasterCard and Visa, but some major other card schemes founded the PCI Security Standards Council and wanted to develop and maintain the standard together. So this was an agreement between the card schemes. And the current actual version, it's 1.1, it's released in September 2006 when they joined the forces, is split into 12 main requirements. It's structured into 6 areas, and it's relevant for every member, merchant and service provider that is storing, processing or transmitting cardholder data. This includes, for example, someone who is doing only the data storage for another company. So if he's storing cardholder data for another company, he's classified as some service provider who's storing cardholder data. So he has to store that in a compliant way to these requirements. The requirements are, as I said, structured in 12 requirements. Just to go quickly through them to get a clue for what the standards stands for. Requirement 1 is install and maintain a firewall configuration to protect data. It should be common sense, but in fact it's not. So it's put into the requirements. The second one is do not use vendor supplied defaults for system passwords and other security parameters. That is also something that should be quite clear, but some of the worms like the SQL Slammer did show us that some vendor supplied defaults are not changed. So this is addressed in this requirement. The main requirement is requirement 3, protect stored data. You have to store the data encrypted, or you have to mask or corrupt it so no one can get the full track. The fourth requirement is encryption for the transmission of cardholder data and sensitive information, which is the expiration date, for example, across public networks. So if you transmit this data, you have to encrypt this data line. This is addressed in this requirement. The next one is use and regularly update antivirus software. It's again one thing to address Trojan, malware, worms, whatever. Next one is develop and maintain secure systems and applications. So you should have a patch management, change management, and check patches before you install them. Maybe something is crashing or a patch is not 100% correctly. So this is addressed here. The next ones are requirement 7, restrict access to data by business need to know. This is really important because normally you give a lot of people access to data, to sensitive, and we have seen one of the card numbers has a value of 2,000 euro. You give too many people access to it, even if they don't need it for the business process. So this is addressed here to critically ask for, is it really need for the business process or whatever, and if not, just restrict this access. If access is needed by business need to know, requirement 8 comes into mind. It's to assign a unique ID to each person with computer access, which can access full card numbers. So you can track back to an individual who was connecting to this data or viewing this data, or maybe even which account was compromised, and with this one data was stolen. It's interesting for the reconstruction of the incident. Requirement 9 is the restrict physical access to card